Lesson 92, simplifying complex fractions. A complex fraction is a big fraction, a fraction that is made up of a fraction that's either in the numerator and or a fraction that's in the denominator. The main idea that you need to realize is when they want you to solve a complex fraction, they're really asking you to take one fraction divided by another fraction. So in this example here, you have A divided by B over CD. So they want you to divide A over B, that fraction, divided by the fraction in the denominator of C over D. And when you divide by a fraction, you're really multiplying by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of C over D is D over C. And then I multiply numerator times the numerator, so AD, denominator by denominator, so BC. And that would be our answer. So let's take a look at an example here. Example 1, simplify by dividing. They're asking you to multiply by the reciprocal. First step is to rewrite this as a division problem. So this one would be A over X divided by B over A plus X. Now that we can see that we're just dividing a fraction by a fraction, I can rewrite this as a multiplication problem. So A over X times the reciprocal of B over A plus X is A plus X over B. My final step here would just be multiplying the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. When I multiply the numerator times the numerator here, I am not going to distribute the A, because then I would have to simplify even more by taking the A back out. So I'm just going to multiply and put them together. So A times A plus X divided by X times B. Here I can easily see the factors in my numerator and the denominator. Nothing is in common. It's already simplified, so this would be my answer. I'm going to leave the second example here for you to try yourself. If you want to pause the video right now, you may, and work on that. The second type of example is simplify using the reciprocal of the denominator. All this page is telling you to do is in the denominator, we want to make the denominator equal to 1. So to make a fraction equal to 1, you multiply by the reciprocal. And whatever you do in the denominator, you must do in the numerator. And then you solve like we just did the last problem. So you can always refer back to this one for a reference. Let's look at an example here. BT divided by AS. That whole fraction there, I'm dividing by the fraction of R over ST. When I divide by a fraction, again, I multiply by the reciprocal. So I have BT over AS times the reciprocal of R over ST is ST over R. Now I just have to see if there's anything in common that will cancel each other out in the numerator and the denominator. I see there's an S in the numerator and an S in the denominator. There's nothing else in common. So I can multiply the numerators times the numerators, the denominator times the denominator. And I get BT squared over that would be my answer. You may do the second example for yourself if you need one for practice. Example 3, factoring to simplify. Here you can see over here we have a binomial that we can simplify by factoring out. So here you would factor the 6 out in both. So you can see that right here they factored a 6 out and got 6 times x plus 2. And then you do the same steps that we just did. So let's look at an example. We have x squared minus x over 9. So I'm going to rewrite this by factoring it. So I can take an x out. That leaves me with x minus 1 divided by 9. And I'm dividing this fraction by the fraction that's in my denominator, which is x minus 1 divided by 3x. Now when I divide the fraction, I need to multiply by the reciprocal. So I have x times x minus 1 divided by 9 times reciprocal is 3x over x minus 1. Now we can check to see if there's anything in common that we can cancel out in the numerator and the denominator. I see that there's an x minus 1 in both the numerator and the denominator, so they cancel out. This is really just a 1 here. 3 and 9 have a common factor. They both have a factor of 3, so I can take a 3 out. That leaves me with 1x here. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. Now I just have to multiply the numerator times the numerator, which gives me x squared. And the denominator, 3 times 1, gives me 3. So my answer is x squared divided by 3. You may pause the video and try one yourself. A fourth type of example is combining fractions to simplify. So here we have a fraction in our denominator, but we need to combine fractions. So this is really 1 over 1 minus x, 1 over x. So you need to find common denominators first. So let's look at an example. Here in my numerator, I have 1 over 1 minus 1 over x plus 1. The common denominator of 1 in x plus 1 is x plus 1. So I need to find out what do I multiply 1 by to get x plus 1. Well, I multiply that by x plus 1 in the numerator, in the denominator, and x plus 1 in the numerator. X plus 1 times 1 is x plus 1. And then I'm subtracting. I already have the denominator x plus 1 in the second one, so subtracting 1 here. So if I rewrite my numerator, it would be x divided by x plus 1. The 1 minus 1 cancels out. They want you to divide that numerator by the denominator of x over 2x. When I divide by a fraction, I'm really multiplying by the reciprocal. I'm multiplying it by 2x over x. And I can check to see if there's anything in common. There is. There's an x in the numerator and an x in the denominator. Now I just multiply numerator times numerator. So x times 2 is 2x. X plus 1 times 1 is x plus 1. This would be my answer. You may pause the video to try a second example yourself. And an application problem. It took Max 3x squared minus 12x divided by 3x minutes to to speed walk to the gym that was 5x minus 20 over x cubed miles away. Find his rate in miles per minute. Now there are key words in here that will tell you how you should set up your problem. They want you to find the rate. So how fast are you going? Here's minutes, which is a unit of time. And then here's miles, a unit of distance. So if I think of rate, time, and distance, I get the formula rate times time equals distance. Now I want to find the rate. So if I rewrite this, I can divide the time on both sides to get the rate by itself. So rate equals distance over time. So my distance, which in the problem is 5x minus 20 divided by x cubed. If I write that in that formula, I'm going to factor a 5 out first. So I have 5x divided by 5 is x. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So my numerator is 5 times x minus 4 divided by x cubed. And it's telling us we need to divide by the time. The time is 3x squared minus 12x divided by 3x. So I'm going to factor that out. So I can take a 3x out. 3x squared divided by 3x is x. 12x divided by 3x is 4. This is all divided by 3x. Now, if we just go back to what we have been doing the last 4 problems. When you divide by a fraction, you're really multiplying by the reciprocal. So I have 5 times x minus 4 divided by x cubed. And I'm multiplying by the reciprocal 3x divided by 3x times x minus 4. Now I can check to see what's in common that can cancel each other out. I have 3x in the numerator, 3x in the denominator. I have an x minus 4 in the numerator, x minus 4 in the denominator. All I have left for my answer is 5 divided by x cubed miles per hour. This last problem I'll keep blank for you to work on yourself. Once you finish that, you may start your assignment. Your assignment, you can see here, lesson 92, these 10 problems. Again, if you have any questions on the assignment, you can either contact me through Teams or send me an email.